Hello and welcome! Today we're gonna get groovy and head back to the 60s and talk about The Love Bug.
Walt Disney Productions' The Love Bug. The
Love Bug was released in 1968. This is actually the first of many Herbie films that they came out with. We're not talking about them all. I'm going to focus on this one, and then tomorrow we're going to talk about the latest release with Lindsay Lohan. But I wanted to cover something with The Love Bug because it was really influential to Disney, especially with that time period. So this one was actually the last live action film that Walt Disney approved, which is really cool. And a lot of people say that that's why it was as successful as it was. I have never seen this before. It's my first time actually watching this. However, on my first Disney trip ever, we ended up staying in the Love Bug rooms at the Movies Resort in Walt Disney World. So here's my picture with me and Herbie. Even though I've never seen this movie beforehand, we still took a picture with that and the winner circle because we were in the Love Bug theme room. Now that I've seen it, I am not really a fan of Herbie. The car itself is interesting. I like the idea of a Volkswagen Beetle dressed up as a race car. But I can't get my head around the concept of a car that's alive.
You're in Radiator Springs, the cutest little town in Carburetor County.
At least with cars, they're in a different environment that we don't have humans interacting with cars. They're just cars interacting with cars. So my suspense of disbelief works a little bit better with cars than it did here. It was a very movie to me. I didn't really appreciate the humor of the 60s that they gave us. I didn't like the friend that talked to Herbie and named him Herbie.
Buddy Hackett as Tennessee Steinmetz, a wizard with welded junk who digs the metal physical.
I'm your friend.
And no one seemed to be really likable to me. We have Dean Jones, Michelle Lee, and Mr. Banks is back. David Tomlinson.
David Tomlinson.
Tell me, what part of Ireland did you say your mother came from?
Coney Ireland.
We talked about him before. He was in Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and I really did enjoy him in that film. Nothing can beat Mr. Banks, so I feel like that is my favorite role that he's done, that I've seen in. That was also the first role I saw him in, so it does stick more, but I didn't like his character. His character is a villain in this role, but it seems like he plays a lot of those. I still liked him best in Mr. Banks, and then Bedknobs and Broomsticks were my two. But otherwise, he really annoyed me in this film. I didn't like his character at all. And there was only a couple of scenes that I really enjoyed in this film. There's a little scene where the dogs are driving around in Herbie. That was cute. And then there's an interesting where Herbie ends up having a nightmare where they're trying to take him apart and he's alive. But besides that, it was a very forgetful movie for me. I know a lot of people love it. It was very successful. But I guess because I'm not really a sports fan, I'm not really into racing as much, and cars aren't that interesting to me. And it was a completely different time period compared to today, so there's tons more, but I won't watch them because I didn't like this one. However, I will be watching Herbie Fully Loaded with Lindsay Lohan. It was the most recent film with Herbie. It was released in 2005. So I'm interested to see how much change has happened between the late 60s to the new millennium. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. And as always, I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.